No one ever hears my side of the story. All that anyone knows is my brother's version. They call him the prodigal son. Me, they just call the older brother. If he's the prodigal son, why can't I at least be the good son? Or maybe the reliable son? Or the hardworking son? That's how I see myself. I'm the one who stayed behind, the one who does what he's supposed to do, who always does what he's supposed to do. Now, my story isn't the one anyone's interested in. They're only interested in his story, the story of my prodigal brother. Everyone knows how he asked for his inheritance and lost it all. They know how he sank lower and lower and how he finally came crawling back. They also know how our Father welcomed him again, despite all that he had done. Some also notice the part of the story that makes it clear that I wasn't very happy about it. And it's true. I wasn't happy about it. Not one little bit. No one knows what happened next, though. So let me tell you. It all started when I was coming back from the field one day and heard sounds of a party. "It's your brother," the servant said. "Your brother's returned." I couldn't believe it. He was back? They were actually throwing him a party? So I went to my father. I was pretty angry. My father tried to make me feel better, but it all felt so wrong to me. And my father clearly didn't see it. In the end, I went to the banquet. I am the good son, after all. But I didn't like it. At one point, our father raised his glass to toast my brother, the son who had returned. So I raised my glass too. But when the time came to drink, I slowly put it down again. That was one toast I would never share. The cup did not so much as touch my lips. My father never noticed, but my brother did. As he looked across the table, I saw him staring at me. Our eyes met. Good, I thought. He knows. The next day he came to me when I was alone. "It's good to be home again, brother," he said. I didn't even look up. "I'm not surprised," I said. "You squander your inheritance, and when you return, our father gives you his very best robe. He puts a ring on your finger. He kills the fatted calf. Pretty sweet." "I didn't expect any of that," he said. I just laughed. "Oh, didn't you?" "No," he said. "All I wanted was to make things right." He then paused. "I'd like to make things right with you too, brother." He held out his hand. "And do you think that's all it takes?" I said. "One handshake to cancel out all that came before?" Slowly, he lowered his hands. "You're very angry, aren't you, brother?" he said. "Yes," I said. "Yes, I am angry. And with good reason, too. For years, I worked and worked and worked. And where were you? Maybe you were there. Maybe you weren't there. Maybe you just didn't feel like it that day." "That's not quite fair, brother," he said. "It's true that I had a hard time keeping up with you, but you set a very high standard. Sometimes I think that you're trying to prove that you can outwork us all. Well, you know what? You can outwork us all. You can certainly outwork me. You proved it long ago. The only question is, who were you trying to convince? Me? Our Father? Yourself?" That was all I needed. "So, because you can't make it here, you take your inheritance and go off on your own. Is that it?" I said. "Fine. Maybe that was for the best. But then, of course, you lose it all and come crawling back. And what happens? It all turns into a party, a big celebration. Now, I ask you, is that fair? I mean, really, is that fair? Look at that robe you have on, that ring, that fatted calf. Did you ever think where that came from? I mean, you took your inheritance, right? It's gone, finished, vanished into the air. So what are you using to celebrate your return? We're using my inheritance. Did you ever think of that? As I said this, I saw my brother flinch slightly. I made a mistake, brother, he said. The last thing I want is for my mistake to hurt you too. But you know what really kills me? I continued. You know what really kills me? It's the way our father ran to you. There you were, no more than a tiny speck in the distance, no more than a speck. But he recognizes you and starts running. At his age, it could have killed him, but he ran and he ran. And then he threw his arms around you. And the way he did it, the way he did it, suddenly I found myself gasping for breath. I turned away, hoping he wouldn't notice. It was several moments before either of us spoke. Is it possible, he asked at last, is it really possible that you're jealous? Are you jealous, brother? Are you jealous of me? His words cut right through me. More than anything in the world, I wanted to lash out at him. I wanted to deny it. Instead, I found myself saying, never once has our Father run to me the way he ran to you. I watched as a look of astonishment dawned on my brother's face. But he never had reason to run to you, he said. There's never been a time in your life when he wasn't right there beside you and you were right there beside him. Exactly, I said, because that's where I was supposed to be. But wasn't it where you wanted to be too, he asked. It's where I was supposed to be, I said again. Don't you get it? What does wanted have to do with it? He stared at me. Well, he said, it's all I've ever wanted. More than anything else in the world, I wanted to be able to stand beside our Father the way you do. I wanted him to be able to count on me the way he so obviously counts on you. I've wanted to be there for him the way you've always been. Don't get me wrong. I never wanted to replace you, brother. I just wanted to be like you. I wanted to stand beside him with you. So why didn't you? I asked, truly puzzled now. Why didn't I? He repeated so slowly. Do you really want to know? I didn't because I felt I simply couldn't match you. I knew that I could never meet the standard you set. I never could work as hard as you worked. I could never be as dependable as you were. That's why I left. I felt there was no place for me here. I just didn't belong. So I decided to try to find some place where I did belong. As he said this, I suddenly remembered the little boy he had been, my little brother. I remembered the way he had stared at me with such admiration as we were growing up, the way he watched me constantly and imitated everything I did. Was that really so long ago? I looked at my brother, and in that moment, I could see him watching me with the same eyes he had viewed me as a child. And my heart went out to him. You know, brother, he said, I told our father that I had sinned against God and against him. And it's true. But I have also sinned against you. As you have so rightly pointed out, I now own nothing, so I have nothing to pay you back. But let me at least give you this. I lost everything. But the worst part was when I came to believe that I had lost our Father's love. I also believed that I had lost your love too, brother, and it looks like I have. But only when I lost both of these did I realize how precious they were to me. But you, brother, have always had your Father's love. It's so close to you, so much a part of you that you don't even see it. Don't be like me, brother. Don't risk losing what you have in order to find how precious it is to you. You have it. You don't have to earn it. It's yours. It's been yours all along. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then slowly, he held out his hand to me again. What do you say, brother? He said. Our Father has shown how much he loves us both. Can we love each other too? Amen.